First off, can you just bring us up to speed on the Xavi and Barcelona situation? Where are things at the moment?
Well, do you want the official version or the unofficial version? Officially, Xavi is the manager of Al Sadd in Qatar, and he's been very successful being manager there. Unofficially, in Barcelona, everybody expects him to become the next manager. For that to happen very soon, we've got the international break coming up, so people expect it to happen after the international break. The contracts have not been signed yet, but that is the word on the street and around the club. Of course, strange things have happened when we've expected something to happen and it hasn't happened, but that's what people are expecting. And they're really looking forward to bringing Xavi back at Barcelona. And on Saturday, Barca had a crowd of 37,000. That was their lowest weekend attendance for 20 years. And I spoke to some of the season ticket holders. Why? And there were multiple reasons why. But one of them was that we need to dream, and Xavi coming back will help us dream again. Now, you can argue for and against that. Football fans should support the team through thick and thin, but Xavi coming back will definitely reignite an enthusiasm that has been dampened by recent events at Barcelona.
How similar is this appointment to the appointment of Pep then back in 2008? Are there a lot of similarities, would you say?
Club legend, intelligent, cerebral, hugely respected, but the club is in a more perilous state than them. And he doesn't have Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi, whatever he added to Barca's team, he certainly added a lot, whether that was 10, 20, 30%. And there is no Messi. Okay, Ansu Fati is very talented, and maybe he'll become great. And maybe Usam Dembele will become brilliant as well. He's had too many injuries, so it's difficult to make a judgment on him. And Pedri is a fantastic player.
Yeah.
There are really, really good young Barcelona players there. Serginho Dest is very good. Araujo, the defender. They've got top players there in spite of losing so many players. And Barcelona as a club remains so attractive. Even now, I reckon if you went to the top players of Manchester United, Liverpool, and Manchester City, say, would you prefer to swap your club like for like with Barcelona right now and your salary stays the same? I think you'd be surprised how many say yes. I really do. Because there's a lifestyle thing as well. It's a great city to live in. I don't think it's much of a sell to their partners. Would you like to go and move to Barcelona? And the problem for Barca is they can't compete now with the biggest English clubs on wages. So Xavi will be walking into a troubled club. You've got Jordi Cruyff, who he once played with as a sporting director. So Jordi too, he was offered a position back at Barcelona so many times, but he stayed in China. So there's similarities with him. And he's come back and he's in a very powerful role there now. But it's all right having a powerful role. You need resources to do your job properly. Barca cannot go out and spend the type of money that they've been spending. And some might say overspending and wasting by paying far too much for some of their top players who didn't really work out. The best example of that would be for Philippe Coutinho. And they probably overspent for Dembele as well. So Xavi will have strong opinions. He will have seen all of this happening. He will be given full control. But of course, it is Barca. Opinions, judgments are quick to be made. He will benefit from the fact that they have been so bad. And I think Barca have had a real reality check. And this is a club who sacked their manager recently, not Koeman, Ernesto Valverde, when he was top of the league, having won the league in the previous 2 seasons. And I thought that was disgraceful. I thought that here you had a brilliant coach, very popular with his players, league champion in his first 2 seasons, but because he hadn't won the treble or whatever, winning 6 trophies is in Catalan, there were people who went against him. And there was a lot of noise on social media against him. And he did get hammered by Liverpool, his team. They did get hammered by Roma. But I'm sorry, they were league champions. And it was a mistake to sack Valverde then. And it looks even worse now. But because Barca have slumped, Xavi will come in and will benefit from this reality check. He will not be hammered if Barca finish third. People have seen the reality that actually we're not beating Alaves at home. We're losing to Rayo Vallecano away. we're really struggling here. So there will be a surge of optimism. People will get behind him, and that will come from a low point, but he will have to deliver as well.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of this recent trend in football of club legends going back probably at the start of the managerial career, really. I mean, Arteta, to Arsenal's credit, they have given him time, and he's had time to try and sift through a lot of damage that's been done over the years. And it looks like at the moment, I know they've had many false dawns, they're coming out the right end of it. But I think of Pirlo at Juventus, I think of Lampard at Chelsea, where things haven't gone well, and it's ended up being a short-term appointment where perhaps if those players had waited till later on in their managerial career, they might have got a bit more time after having a bit more experience. Would that be something that would worry you about Xavi, or do you just think he will get time?
He'll get time relative to Barcelona time, but he'll have a political game to play as well. But what is Barca's plan B? Of course, it's a results business. Of course, he'll be expected to win far more games than he loses, but he does actually have very good players. We don't know what the situation is with Sergio Aguero, but him being ruled out at the start of the season was another negative for Barcelona. So with a fair wind, he could bring an identity back to Barcelona. Them young players could continue to mature. There's not just Pedri, there's Xavi who's coming this season. He's very young as well. And the number of games these lads are playing, Pedri, he played, I think, 75 games in the calendar year up until recently. And this was a guy who was playing in the second division for Las Palmas in Spain up to 2020. And now he's one of Barcelona's best players. Frenkie de Jong's an exceptional player. He's lost his way a little bit. There has been some signings where people might say, Luke de Jong, would he have signed for Barca in their prime? Martin Braithwaite, they're good players. They're very good players, but you're comparing everybody with Messi and Neymar, and almost everybody's gonna come up short. So I think he will be afforded more patience because he's a former club legend, but he will still have to deliver. I wouldn't envisage a situation 3 years down the line where people are saying he's going to come good. He'd have to come good sooner than that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has nearly been in the job for 3 years now, and it's not unfair that he's being viewed critically now. But I think the managerial fuse in Spain is a far shorter one than at clubs like Manchester United.
Yeah, you're just talking about the players that have perhaps lost their way a little bit. Because you've met Xavi a few times, I want to ask you this. What would he be like as a man manager?
I think he's a good person. I think he has the ability to engage on different levels, and that includes with journalists. I think he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
And not just because he's a football geek and we have these random conversations. You'll find a lot of younger Barca players who say he was a good influence with me when I was coming through, even if they didn't quite make it. He was never seen as being a bad influence in the dressing room. There were times where Lionel Messi's ego was so big and he was so powerful that was a double-edged sword. Xavi, he wasn't quiet like Iniesta might have been in the dressing room. He knew his place. He knew he was brilliant. But I think he would. I think he'd be a good communicator with the press. He knows the internal politics of the club as well, so he can deal with that. He's got a strong enough personality to understand the internal politics, to deal with the media. He speaks well. He comes across well. He knows his football. If you're a blagger, you're going to be found out. He absolutely knows everything that there is to know. And put him against anyone, and he'll absolutely hold his own.